everybody. Arthur here with episode 11 of State of the Art. Hopefully you guys are ready for this one because we got a special, super amazing guest that is known in the collecting community, especially if you're into that Mythic Legion stuff. We got ourselves Walter the Mad. Since he labeled himself Walter the Mad, I'm going to have him as Walter the Mad. And Walter, how you doing today?
All right, man. How's it going, brother? Thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, anytime, man.
I had to go run down the hallway because last time I was on a live YouTube show, I got a bunch of gripe from people because I wasn't wearing my ring, bro. Like,
oh, jeez.
I know,
the awesome Cabal ring, and I know you had those up. I did not order one. Next round, I'll have to get one for sure.
Order and make. So I'll keep you in mind, bro.
Nice, and definitely, we're representing the Cabal here.
That's right. That's one of the good ones, man. That's that's one of those colors that everybody was excited to get. When we made that one, I was actually really shocked how many they went and God, man, like I want to say like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was bummed because I wanted the firefighter yellow one you did.
Oh,
and by the time I was like, man, the only way I got this one is my buddy Art G was at the show. And I was like, dude, go to Walter, get it, tell him I'll wear it, whatever. And then you're like, all right, if I'm doing this, you're gonna have to wear it on your stream. So I wore this a couple times, and then of course when we're doing this one, I had to wear it. So
yeah, thanks, man.
Pretty awesome. I like it, and I think everybody should be aiming to try to meet up with you at conventions that you go to try to get a hold of one of these because they're comfortable as hell.
Yeah, we try to make nice shirts. I mean, I'm a stickler on shirts, man. I don't just buy whatever. Nowadays it's cool because I get to have my own excuse me, my own brand and my own shirt. And I'm real picky on clothing, as simple as that. Just I just want to wear it where I feel comfortable, and it's not real stiff. It's not real tight in the collar. It's an athletic, comfortable, good shirt. Yeah. And it's really exciting too when I can make a bunch of them and just give them out to people just because they want them.
Super generous, man. I was just like, and they aren't, and like you said, they're comfortable. They're not that tight, scratchy feeling. They move with you. Yeah. You could go to work and work in it all day, and you're comfortable.
Yeah, and I get people that do. It's ironic. Like when you were just talking about the bright neon one, that one went. I had tons of people want that shirt, man. It was crazy, and people use them. They'll go out and do yard work with them or work with them. The orange one, I have a couple buddies on the East Coast that go, "Hey, man, I use this as my workout shirt when I go to the gym," and then I just seen even the sweaters now too. Like it's that time of year where I've seen so many people post up that they're going to like Christmas or holiday dinners, and they got their Cabal hoodie sweater on. That's like they're going out sweater, and their comfy sweater. So I think that's so cool, man.
And for people that are watching, we're saying the word the Cabal and all that. Go ahead and tell us what is the Cabal.
So I created Mythic Legion's Cabal, and it's like basically I'm a super fan that's now lucky and fortunate enough to work and do stuff with and for the Four Horseman Studios, and I do stuff under social media for them, and I go to shows and work for them, and a couple other things too. But the Cabal is basically a group that I wanted to have and create, just to have those people that are into Mythic Legions and now Cosmic Legions, and I just wanted to make a space that people can share, show, sell, trade, buy, all that kind of stuff with Mythic Legions figures. I loved it to death, and I was lucky enough to kind of get in years and years ago, right in the start, and I just wanted to kind of create a place that everybody can have fun and do that stuff with each other. And it slowly grew and organically, and then over the years now it's like taken off, and it's amazing at times to think back, like when there was like, 50 people that were in my group, and then 200 people, and I knew everybody. And I mean, I still know, like, God, I probably know like 90% of the people in the group. I'll see the names and I'll recognize them. I say hi and talk to a bunch of people. But yeah, the group's just about, sharing Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions, and doing stuff for the Four Horsemen on social media. Just basically, when they canceled and went away from that like online forum style page, they went to like a more social media style, because it was really taken off about 5-6 years ago, being on Instagram, being on Facebook. And they were noticing like that was like the main way people were communicating and sharing. And the toy groups were slowly forming and getting bigger and more interactive, and people were less and less on like the forums, and instead of like posting a question and getting whoever to respond, you could actually have friends on Facebook and Instagram and share photos instantly and respond instantly and message each other. So I was lucky enough to kind of get in the start of that, and have fun with it, so.
But also the Cabal, there's probably plenty of like collecting groups out there, but the Cabal is sort of like a special group.
Yeah.
Why? What makes the Cabal stand out a little bit more than your other groups?
Um, I get people that ask me that a lot, and a lot of it is just the interaction. The Horsemen are on the group. All of them are actually on the group. Two of them are hidden away. They're under different profiles, and they interact with me too. Also. So it's cool to have like the Horseman, like Cornboy's on there, and he responds regularly, and he loves to interact with people, and he sees the comments. Other guys from the studio like Jeremy Gerard and Chris, and God, I mean, all the guys everybody that's in the studio is actually in the group. Everybody from the painters like Sherry to Nate Barch, who does the artwork on the
His
on the.
artwork's amazing.
Yeah, and he's the nicest guy in the world. I mean, they're all great people, and all like I've had never a bad interaction with anybody from the studio. Like everybody from like Cookie that's like helping shipping, to Chris in production, and George. Like I'll text them at random times of the day, and they're just the nicest guys, and they'll BS, and
Maybe they should be on an episode of State of the Art.
yeah. I mean, it's not hard. It's like, ironically, it's just a matter of like, I can text them and call them and say like, hey, you guys should do this interview. Like, people would love to hear from you. And they're great people. And that's I think what a lot of it really started to kind of drive the Cabal, is that there was like studio interaction. And to go back in, even from the beginning, like the studio like came to me originally and said like, we hear a lot about what you, like, I was at a convention in Anaheim, and they were just like, hey, we've heard a lot about you. And it was so weird that they pulled me out of the line, and they recognized who I was, and hung out with me all day. And I went down there to like hang out with them and buy Mythic Legions, and just talk to them, because I'm just like a big kid and just like a super fan. And they're just like, oh, we need to talk to you about what you're doing. So it was real different, and it was like one of those moments like real special for me, where being a fan and a collector, to meet like people that you admire and stuff that you buy and collect, and then they're wanting to hang out with you and talk to you about what you do. And I'm just like, dude, I'm just me, like, so. But yeah,
It's a little bit more than just you, man.
Yeah.
You put your blood, sweat, and tears into the group, and what into collecting Mythic Legions and things like that. But you're also, they labeled your group as the official like Mythic Legions like community group, right?
Yeah, they've done that with both pages, and even helping with like the Instagram stuff. And I've got a couple Instagram pages, and then and now like I've got like the official title, like as of, man, just I forget
The
what date that was.
chief brand
I
ambassador.
know. Chief like brand ambassador, and I go to like all the shows that they go to. Like I fly across the country, and I mean I'm nobody, like by no means have I got like deep pockets or anything. I'm just a regular guy. I just finished work like, like 10 minutes ago, racing to get home and change clothes. And, I'm my own business, and I'm, bust my ass blue collar worker dude, and but this is like my part-time job now where I, get to talk online and social media and interact with fans, and, and I love it, man. And everybody that I ever met, like they're like 99.9% of them, like the 4,500 people that we got, it's everybody's always super cool, and they're the nicest people to meet. And then meeting them in person is even crazier too, because you sit there and you talk to people online like yourself, but then you get to like interact with them in person at the shows and at events and things like that, and everybody's always super cool, man.
It's like a family.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it. I wanted something to have like that family feeling, and keep the group like PG, where like, like, hey man, like off, in person I swear like a sailor, and I'm a regular person, and I talk and make fun and joke, but online I try to be polite and nice and have good interactions with people. Like I look at it as like, I want to talk to somebody the way they should be talking to me. And if my kid was to look online and see an interaction, and they're going like, why are these guys like cursing and yelling at each other over like toys? And I'd hate to see that, and let like some young kid come in, or even my mom or something, like looking at the group and be like we're a bunch of grown ass men like cursing and yelling at each other.
That
So
happens a lot.
yeah, and that's the thing, is like, so I try to, way in the beginning, I try to keep it respectful, and I've always tried to interact with people, and I always try to read all the comments, um and let people know like, hey, like I don't mind profanity and swearing back and forth, but let's keep it respectful. And then especially nowadays with the way social media is, and I mean, we all know how like Meta and Facebook are. Like, you could joke about saying something and you get flagged or kicked off Facebook for 30 days or something, or the
Yes.
group will get flagged. And I try to tell people, I'm like, look, a lot of this isn't me. A lot of it's just like, hey, like, let's just be respectful and nice to each other, so that way we're not getting like, yelled at by Zuckerberg and all that stuff. So.
Right. And we got some people in the chat. Laser Pants says, "What's up, fellas?"
What's up, man?
Ammo to go. What's up, all? Oh, Canuck giving Laser Pants. He says, "Who let laser diapers in?" People are saying, "Subscribe if you already haven't." Art is the man.
That's right.
What's up, guys? What's up? No chewing. Oh, toy talk. Oh, so glad you explained the Cabal. Darth Gutierrez in the house as well.
Yeah,
We got somebody fight in code names. Cabal above all.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Art,
Yeah,
you say you're still late.
at times it's what's up, man? At times I remember in the beginning, man, people would ask me what the Cabal is, because I mean, like I had like the start of, like, I would wear shirts, and I have a couple real old designs that people still want, and they want to remake, and they want to have like, I got hats and things I want to make still. And but I remember people trying to explain what the Cabal was, and they're just like, man, it sounds like some like cult, or like it's white supremacist group. There's just I'm like, no, I'm like, no. And then like, you look at like when I came out with the design and everything, and like, it's like some Satanist cult where it's like,
it's metal.
Yeah.
And,
and that's the thing. Like, I just wanted something cool and fun. And when I looked at like words to like roll off the tongue, that like Mythic Legions, and I didn't want to just do like Mythic Legions, group or whatever, because that was already out there actually. And I just like, it came to me like one day, I was like, I'm like I've heard that word before, and I like looked it up, and it just sounded cool, you know. So it was like Mythic Legions Cabal, you know, and then I'm like, it'd be cool to have just like the Cabal, like, so you can just like shorten it and be like, what you know, what do you do? What's the? I'm like, oh, you know, I do the Cabal, and they're just like, really? And then I'm a you know, old school, you know, heavy metal guy, and love all the modern stuff too. So I'm always like, you know, throwing up the horns, and I wanted something like, you know, heavy metal, and all my designs and shirts originally were like based off of like music bands, and you know, like Slayer and, you know, Motorhead, and a couple other bands like that I was.
R.I.P. Lemmy.
Yeah, man, that was like, and it was like right around the time like he had just like passed away that I started like thinking of these, and I was like, man, I want to like have that type of music, heavy metal vibe, and like I'm just monsters and demons, and you know, that's all you would see in the toy line at first. Like it's just like skeletons and demons, and some knights and orcs and all that stuff later too. But
Right. All right. Canuck says, Walter, why are you drinking water in a can?
hey, man, I this is like rehydrating for the day, man. You know, and that's all I got. Like, I mean, I got wine over there, and I just drink whatever I grab, man.
No, he is always busting everybody.
Oh,
JR said, yo, JR said he found a 2004 Toy Biz She Lab. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. Not sure. I'll have to look it up. And then see, he's joking again. Hail white supremacy.
Yeah.
That is not the Cabal at all.
Yeah, it was like the first year was, man, the first year was like bad. Like I had a couple comments, and like when you look at Facebook and they're trying to like include you in on like what else you might look, and it came up like, here's the Cabal and the such and such Cabal, and like one of them was like, I swear to God, one of them was like a white supremacist group. I'm like, no, like I had to like put in the description like toy group and this, like, I'm like, oh my God, like that's why it's like Mythic Legions Cabal, because I wanted to give credit to the Horseman and the toys that I like. So when people enter and they search Mythic Legions, like we're one of the ones that come up. Now we're like the first one that comes up. So it's that's, I mean, that's just one of those silly things. Like, man, it was really cool, but it was like embarrassing the first year when you only have like 50 or 200, you know, people, and they see a bunch of like white dudes like, you know, collecting like figures, and you know, I'm like, oh my God, like no, like.
I mean, people are gonna misjudge everything. I mean, look at if they walked into in this room right now, if somebody walked in and they'd just be like, oh, you're just why you collecting toys?
Yeah.
You know, I'm an adult. I shouldn't be collecting them and all that stuff. But
Oh man, see, but it's amazing though, and you know, you go to that route, and it's the amazing that the demographic of people that I meet now. Like I know people that are like presidents of like major bank, like Wells Fargo and bank companies, that are great friends of mine, that, you know, they're in charge of like $40 billion every day. And then I got like guys like myself, like I mow lawns for a living, bro. Like, you know, like I landscape and mow lawns for a living, and, you know, but it's amazing that demographic where you would never think somebody that's like a doctor or a banker, and they're buying and collecting action figures, and they're interacting and talking to you about them, and they're like, oh man, did you see the new skeleton figure that just debuted? And, you know, so it's I think it's great, man. It's just,
yeah, they got the people that just, you know, they collect, and you'd be surprised on what they do.
yeah,
We get a connect. Oh wait, I just clicked on his wrong one. He was saying all in good fun, guys. If you get offended easily, then time to leave YouTube and Facebook. That is true. That's true.
that is true. Yeah.
Just got an order from McFarlane BBTS and GameStop in today.
Nice.
Look at you spending all that money.
Yeah.
That money.
What'd you get?
Yeah. What did you get?
Yeah.
And speaking of getting, let's go back in time a little bit. Take a little time machine back. What was your first action figure that you've ever? I wouldn't. You could say you purchased, or that was your first action figure that you had as a kid.
First action figures that I had as a kid that I remember vividly was getting He-Man. And I mean, I'm a big Motu fan also. I have a pretty good collection. My son and I have the Matty collector style ones, that actually the Horseman did. And excuse me. Um, I have a lot of those, and but the old school ones, I remember like, man, like I'm old, bro. Like I'm 46, so like, like I remember as a kid getting, He-Man and Castle Grayskull and Attack Track, um, and I got a bunch of figures and stuff like on a Christmas at my grandparents. And I mean, I can remember like vividly. And then I got like I got like a random tank also. So it was cool because like I had like He-Man and all this stuff, and then I had a tank. Like, so I was like, I was like gung ho, crazy. He-Man's like flipping over a tank, and he's battling Skeletor, and so that was one of the coolest things ever. I got He-Man, and then I had He-Man several times because like my dog at the time, he got a hold of He-Man and like chewed his arm off. Like I don't know what it was with like my dogs, or I remember a lot of people had problems that their dog would get a He-Man because he was plastic and he would like chew him up. Then he'd have like all this battle damage and his arms all gnarled.
Right. Well, it's because dogs, they're like their toys are plastic, so then they get that, and it's sort
Yeah,
of the same consistency. I'm sure.
yeah.
And
I think it was like the same like PVC like texture as a dog chew toy. I didn't think
yeah.
of that.
And now, when you were collecting as a kid, did you continue it into your teenage years to young adult, or was there a moment where you like stopped collecting and then
Um,
you picked it back up again?
so like as a kid, I had the He-Man stuff, and I followed the genre and the age going up, and then eventually like I had them and kept them and always interacted and played with them, and had Castle Grayskull set up. Didn't really, I mean, I never really got rid of anything. And then when GI Joe was really taking off, and I was getting into like my um, you know a little bit later in school, and everybody was playing with GI Joes, and I had friends in my neighborhood that had like everything for GI Joe, the flag and everything. And it was cool because like I would get GI Joes for being good in school and not causing problems and trying to get good grades. My mom, like I remember, she would go to like Toys R Us, and there was like a chain of drugstores called Long's Drugstores, and they would sell GI Joes and stuff. And she would pick up like just like buy a stack of them and all the different characters and put them in like a bag inside her bedroom with my folks' bedroom. And then like if you were doing good for the week, they come out and hand you like a random action figure. Like,
That's pretty awesome.
yeah, so like I was lucky. I mean, most of the time I was like screwing around and barely paying attention in class. I didn't get a lot of them at first, but once I figured out like I could get stuff, and then every once in a while I would get like um, usually around like kids' birthdays and stuff, I would get like a vehicle, but I didn't have many vehicles. Most of the time we'd go over to my buddy's house, and he was an only child, so he had like everything. Like they had a bonus room that was like the size of like most people's like living and dining room.
Wow.
And this kid, like he was a year younger than me, and we used to. Um, he was super cool, little Filipino kid. He was like super short. I mean, whatever, but it was like he would go, and he was like an only child, and we'd go to his house and play GI Joes, and like literally like here's this like 40 by 20-foot long room, and it has like the flag and the Cobra base and every vehicle that ever came out. Like I remember playing with him for like 5-6 years. Like we'd go over there, and it was those days when you can go to a kid's house and like you got to remember to like the parents would like whistle out the window,
Right.
and then you'd have to get home before it was dark out, and
With that
so
size room, man, you could literally have like I'm going to be Cobra, you're going to be the Joes. You could separate the room and literally have both teams just collide in the middle.
yeah, it was crazy because we were lucky. Like in the neighborhood we were at, there must have been like a dozen kids, and all around the same age, within like a year or 2 years of each other. So our neighbors, like, we would go to like this kid's house, and we were on a corner cul-de-sac on an off street that like the only reason you drive down the street was if you lived there. So we'd be outside all the time. All the kids would be outside all the time, playing baseball, playing GI Joes, playing basketball when we started getting older, and beating the hell out of each other, throwing rocks at each other, stuff like that. It was like classic, that, like the movie, like The Sandlot. There was like the group of core kids that they all played and hung out with each other. And then as the ages, grew up, families moved away, but we didn't like get new kids in. It was like a movie almost. It was like the same kids for the longest time, and everybody knew each other. And God, even into our, when I finally moved away out of that neighborhood at the age of like 20, 21, like I still knew a couple kids that lived in that neighborhood, and we'd go back and visit and say what's up. And, now they're into cars, but we still knew each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Like with me, I didn't do the cul-de-sac. I was sort of out in the sticks a little bit, but still had my core friends that we'd play with and play with GI Joes. I lost a lot in sandboxes, and, buried some in my driveway. Even melted some, blew them up, shot them with 22s, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But you still had that core group of people, like, even like, remember when Micro Machines rolled out like military Micro Machines?
I got those.
And my buddies, him and his dad had this like train set. It was like a full table, decked out, working train and all that stuff. And for some reason it was like in their garage, and they had a hot tub there too. So it's like you could literally hang out in the hot tub and play with train stuff. So we're like, all right, let's hang out in the hot tub, but let's bring all of our Micro Machines, and we just have battles with this train going around and all that stuff. And it was just
cool.
some experiences as a kid that I feel like a lot of kids just are not getting anymore, of like being outside, playing with toys. Even when you're destroying them, you're still having fun. Kick myself in the butt now, but
Now, well, and it's funny you say that. Like, we did all the same stuff with like when Micro Machines came out. Like, my brother and I had tons and tons and tons of Micro Machines. I actually got them in my garage, and it's like one of those clear plastic totes, just crammed full of them. My son likes them. He has some of them in his bedroom. He's 8, gonna be 9 pretty soon. But going to that, it's like our neighborhood that we live in, we're in a pretty decent neighborhood, nothing fancy, but my whole neighborhood, my average age in my neighborhood is like 75. Like, all my neighbors are retired. They're like grandparent age. I got several neighbors that are in their 90s. Like, literally, I'm like the youngest guy on the street at the age of like 46. And there's no kids on our street. So, like, I'm always, taking my son, and he's loves it because he gets to play with all the figures that I play with and use and, interact with. So, like, we have like a big Lego area set up in the other side of the house, and what's like our dining room. And then, he plays with Mythic Legions. And like I said, he plays with the He-Man figures that I have. And
I could only imagine being a kid and playing with Mythic Legions. Like, my younger self and a Mythic Legions in hand, I don't even know what I would do.
So what's funny is like going to that kind of thing is like, people ask me that all the time. They're like, does your son play with them? Because he'll pop on every once in a while with me on like the YouTube shows. And when I do like a live, just jump in on Facebook, and he'll come in, he'll unbox something, and he's just like, hey, look at it. And he's, putting it together and ripping
People are like,
no, and it's a lot of times, like, I don't mind, but it's funny is that people will do that because, like, I have a bunch of like the trolls, and a lot of people know that, and some of the trolls I have, like, until they get reissued, some of these trolls are like $400 or $500 now. And he's in there, and he's got one. He's just like, hey, check it out. He's playing with it. He's trying to rip the head off, and he's putting the weapon in. And I'm just like, whatever. And like, I'll have people that'll text me that know me, and they're just like, oh my God, well, like, he's just having. I'm like, dude, it's a toy. Like, he's having fun.
Exactly.
He'll get stuff out of like my cases in the back that are like one-off, like customs that, like, I know I can't replace any of the parts on that, and he'll just come out and be like, check this out. and they're like hand painted and stuff like that. Those are the ones.
But he's good with them. He's not sitting there like
Yeah,
smashing them together and stuff like that.
yeah. Even when he was, um, um, God, I mean, because I've been doing this for 6-7 years now, and it's like, when he was like 2-3 years old, and I told him, I wasn't scolding him or nothing. I said, you just got to understand, like, if you take care of it and you enjoy your toys and be nice to them, they'll last longer and you can play with them more. I said, as soon as you start beating on them or like chewing on something, like, I'm going to take it away from you.
Right.
So he understood that like right from the beginning. And it's the same thing. Like, he loves playing with his Legos, and he'll have like a 20 or a 50 or $100 set, and he puts it together, and then he'll take it all apart and build something else out with it. And I don't get frustrated and mad at it. But it's cool when he's playing with some of the Motu figures that I have, and he's got like he's got like Fisto and He-Man, and they're beating like Skeletor, and I'm like he's just, and we'll be like watching wrestling, and he's just like, yeah, and I'm sitting there and I'm like thinking to myself, he's basically like wailing on like $600 worth of toys that if I was to put them on eBay or something, like, I'm like gently used, and he's just sitting there, just, yeah, He-Man. Yeah.
But I mean, hey, that's what they are. They're toys. They're
Yeah,
definitely
and
toys.
that's my point. Is just he does that with Mythic Legions, and he loves going to unbox them, especially when I come back from like a show or something. I always bring him something, and people always say to me, they're like, man, I couldn't imagine being like your son, doing what you do, and then knowing everybody that you know, and then getting stuff from the Four Horsemen and this. Now I'm like, yeah, my garage is pretty fun, and and my collection's fun. Like, it's pretty cool to be my son.
Yeah, for sure.
Come home and give him like a case of, like, here's a case of Mythic Legions. What do you want to open? And he's just like, let's open this guy, and we're gonna battle. And I'm like, sure,
Why not?
yeah.
Why not? RG did say, he said he's still saving for the Necronomid. I'm not even gonna try to say it. All in for the new
skeleton
wave.
yeah.
Yes. And then the Canucks did say Joy Toy 40K from BBTS, Warhammer 40K from McFarlane, and Predator figure from GameStop.
Nice. Yeah, those 40K figures are freaking rad. I just, man, I don't have any more room or space for any of that stuff.
I kept telling everybody, I'm like, I used to paint the figures. I used to paint like goblins, orcs and goblins for Warhammer. Yeah. And then I never really played. Like, I had all the stuff to play, but spent more time painting them. Then I ended up doing like the Grey Knights and 40K, and I'm like, nobody's gonna release Grey Knights. If they ever do, I'm gonna do it. And sure enough, Joey Toy's like, hey, Grey Knight stuff. And I'm like, well, shit. I'm like, I gotta end up getting those, but they're just so expensive. Like,
yeah, they got out of my price. I mean, I'm pretty frugal with what I get, because a lot of stuff I like to get, and I want my son to have stuff. And then my wife likes collecting also. And then nowadays I just buy or just exclusively like Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions, just because like I don't have the space for it all, man. Like,
and you don't have stuff getting all crazy like this.
No, I got a room just off like the camera off of this area right here that's full of, like, I got a Lego dining room, and then behind that is like I've got like 20 feet of Mythic Legions. I got 4 detops full of like trolls in my bedroom that my wife I don't know why my wife loves me, but she does.
That's another one too. Like, how does your family, like, obviously your son's digging it, how does your wife and the rest of your family like view your plastic addiction, I guess?
So like my favorite story is always telling people, like, my wife loves it, and she always, like she's an RN, and does multiple things with the medical field, and she's super smart and awesome. And she's always like, when she goes to work, and and I'll go out of town for like the weekend to like Philadelphia or whatever, and she'll explain to her friends, and she's like, oh yeah, my husband's out of town, and they're like, oh, where is he now? And she's like, and he's out playing with toys again, and they're like, what? And but now a lot of people like understand when she tells friends or family that, what I do and what I get to do and have fun doing. And she's cool with it. Like a lot of times, like she's always walking around the house when she comes home from work, and she's got like, I have like female shirts for like the Cabal, and they're same thing, man. It's like, go back to, they're like comfortable shirts. So I have like a female cut for women to buy for Cabal shirts and sweaters and things like that. And she walks around the house, and when she gets home, like, when we get home, and they're just like, hey, I got my jammies on and my Cabal shirt, And it's funny because like she doesn't have to like steal my shirt anymore. She's got her own, and but she's super cool with it. And the first couple of years, it was always like, like, who are you talking to now, and what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm talking to my friends, and she's like, who? And like, I'd be talking to somebody in like England and Australia and all over the country, and she's like, who are these people? And I go, well, it's in my Facebook group and part of my toy community. And she's like, all right, whatever. But once like the Horseman, made it like official a while back, and then it's been more than a little more than a year or so that they pay me for it. And it's like, I mean, I'm not getting rich off anything by any means, but it's just like, they told me that like, hey, we have to give you something for what you do. So they pay me for it. They send me, free figures when they come out. And my wife loves that part of it. She's like, oh, cool. Now you don't have to buy all these figures. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I swear I don't buy anything, but she's super supportive on it and loves it. And she likes the figures. And when I get new stuff in, she's always like, she'll pick it up and be like, oh, that's cool. Like, who's this? And I'm like, that's like the new villain, that's Aerithir. And she's just like, he's scary. Like,
Well, I mean, it's crazy though. You see, like when Mythics first dropped, to like now, just how the progression and like how they're just getting crazier and crazier with like their sculpts and their details and soft goods and stuff like that. It's pretty mind blowing. I mean, what like, I guess the biggest thing too is like, all right, you made the Cabal. Like, what drew you to Mythic Legions? What was that thing where you're like, this is it? This is like, I'm going hard in this. This is my thing. This is my above all collectibles. This is it.
It was one of those crazy things. Like, so I knew some of the guys that were doing like the forums, and I was like, just, reading online, and I was still into like collecting the He-Man stuff. And then I've always been like a two inch figure collector, like Muscles and Battle Beast and, things like that. I like just simple little figures, just because you can like have one and then put it in your pocket and, felt like a kid.
I got some Battle Beasts right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. You have to send me photos of those. I used to be the Battle Beast guy online, and that's all I did.
They're so expensive now to try to pick them up. Like just one of them, like people are selling them for like $15 to $20 for one.
Yeah, I remember I would buy lots of them for like $20, and I'd be like, cool, and I'd part them out and sell off the extras and keep the one or two. I got so many of those things, man. I got like,
and then I got that big old bag of muscles that eventually I want to get set up. I want to get find a good condition, like the wrestling ring that they did, so that I can just sort of set them up around there on a display.
Yeah, I want to do like a shadow box of it to where I can put it on the wall. I had the poster for a while. I need to get like a poster redone.
That would be awesome, like a shadow box poster version.
Yeah,
where it's that exact poster, and then the figures are actually where they're supposed to be. That'd be awesome.
I want to do that like as a poster, like just over it, and then just put it off, like take down some of my art that's in my kitchen, and then poster it, and then put the 120 figures or whatever it is right on top of it. I've wanted to do that for the longest time now. I got like probably 20 or so that I'm missing, but I love the little 2-inch figures. I forgot what you said now. I get excited talking about like Mythic, all that stuff.
I was saying what got you into like what led you into like choosing like Mythic Legions to be your main line in a sense.
So like the Mythic Legions was one of those things, like when I was collecting like the He-Man stuff, and I knew who the Four Horseman was, and like I had all like the McFarlane stuff for years. I bought tons of McFarlane stuff, and I always had them on. I was like a mint on card guy, and I'd hang them on my wall in the whole series and just stare at them. I don't know why. I was one of those guys. And then a little while after that, like I opened them all up and I played with them and set them up in like photos. And right around the time like Instagram really kind of like started to take off, and I was just crappy photographer, and I'd see other people doing these like amazing photos with like action figures. And when I was doing the He-Man stuff and I was goofing off, and I'd love to play with like the He-Man figures and just set them up and be like, hey, here's He-Man. He's like chilling on the lawn. He's just like this. He's just laying down on the lawn. And then I came across like some of the, like when Mythic Legions were first up for pre-order, and a buddy of mine at the time was like, dude, you need to get on these things. Like the Horsemen are making these and this and that. And they had like, he's like sending me the photos. And it, like the guy at the time was like, these are awesome. And, you know, so-and-so is doing the photography for them. Sergeant Bananas was doing like the photography for them. And Johnny lived not far from me. So like, there'd be times like, you know, randomly like run into him, and he'd do like a promo video photo for it. And like, he would just kill it with these figures. And it really made me like want one. And my buddy's like, you got to get one. So he's like, if you're going to order one, order this because it comes with a lot of parts. So like the first one I got was like the Barbarian Builder, and which I think is like number one, the best figure you can get. If you've never seen a Mythic Legions figure, buy like a Barbarian Builder, and you get like basically two figures in one thing for like $50. And I got it, and when it arrived, and I was like barely working at the time because like my son was maybe like 2 years old, like 1, 2 years old. So I was like the stay-at-home dad, and I get this figure in, and I'm like hiding in the corner with this thing because he's like down for a nap, and I finally get this figure in, and I was so used to playing with like the He-Man stuff, and I already kind of knew the quality, but then I get like the Mythic Legions figure in, and like the packaging is like super dope, and it's got like all kinds of colors on it, and this crazy like dragon art on it, and it's like collector friendly to where like you can pop it open and like it's like you can put it all back. And that was like one of the silly things I did. Like you pull it all out, and then if you're like, okay, I put it back in its place. But once I started like checking the figures out, and I got the Barbarian Builder, and I'm like realizing like I watched like a Pixel Dan video, and another one where they showed guys like popping and swapping the figures and ripping the heads off, and I was just like, and I did it for the first time, and I got this Barbarian Builder, and I swapped out the head because it comes with like, you know, a different head and like different horns, and so I did that one time, and I was just like this is the greatest thing ever. Like, so instantly like I bought like another one so I could have like 2 or 3 of these Barbarian Builders, because it came with so much stuff that like you could have like a good guy looking one, and then you take a photo or play with it, and then you could swap out the parts, and then you could have like the same guy, but he'd have like bad guy armor.
Yeah.
And I was like I didn't know what to do. Like I wanted more of that same figure so I could make like both versions of it. And then like when then you have 2, you got all these extra parts. I'm like, dude, now I need like another figure just to put all those extra parts on. So it instantly like started leading down the road of that, where I was like, okay, I get the Barbarian Builder. I build like a, you know, I called them, what I call them. I called them like the Brood or the Beasts or something, to where they were just bad guy looking barbarians that had like the evil armor. And then I would have them set up and do goofy photos where like they would battle like He-Man, because they look like generic, simple bad guys. And you've got your hero, like who I think is like the greatest, action figure hero ever made, is like, here's He-Man. and he's beating the hell out of these bad guys. And then you could change their parts, and like you could stand them right next to He-Man and be like, "Hey, what's going on, He-Man?" And you take their parts off, and they're like, "Oh, those guys over there are bad," you know. And I would do that, you know. And I just love that. So
that's a good explanation. Like,
yeah,
you knew that exact moment where you're like, this made my mind just go.
yeah. I'm crazy like that, man. I got like a pretty good like photographic memory where like I remember moments like that. And then right after that, when I got the barbarians, I had a couple of them, and I was like, damn, these things are like, you know, $50, $60, $75, you know, shipped. And then the first series was out, so there was all these characters. There was like 40 figures out there, and I wasn't into a lot of them. And one of the figures that was still inexpensive, because I was trying to get like an orc, and I wanted like a bad guy. And it's ironic, like I joke about it nowadays, like I'm not a fan of the orcs, and I say it all the time. I'm like, blasted orcs, they suck, you know, whatever. But I couldn't get an orc or a real bad guy. So the only one that was available that was like real cheap, I call cheap, it was like $40 like shipped. And it was Malleus, was the skeletons. And there was other skeletons like I thought were kind of cool, and like Tibius and Clavian, the red skeleton, and some of the builder skeletons. And I had gotten a builder skeleton in because I had the barbarian builder, but he didn't have a lot of color to him. So I had the basic skeleton builder that was like it was like $25 to get this guy. It was super cheap. And then shipping was like another $6-7. So here I is, I spent like $30 and I got a skeleton builder, and he didn't have a lot of color to him. And I don't paint. Like I don't have the patience to paint. Like I love people that paint, because like I think you guys are like 100 times more, you know, more talented than I'll ever be. But I'm like looking at the skeleton builder. I'm like, man, if he just had some color to him, like on his armor. And so I like parted him out or sold him off or gave him away. And then I got like a Malleus, and then after I got Malleus, because he had all the cool colors on it, and he looked like something out of like Jason and the Argonauts.
Right.
And I'm like I said, I'm old school, and I love all the old stop motion animation. And here's Malleus. He comes with like two big ass axes, a sword.
He's
The
ready to
bad
throw
guy
down.
huh?
He was ready to throw down once you
Oh,
geared
dude,
him
he
all
was.
up.
And they're great articulation, and he has like the colors that I love. He's got that like grayish green and the bad guy armor, and he comes with two big old axes, and then he's got that like he looks like he's just been dug up, and he's got that like brownish tint to him on the skeleton, to where he looks like if something came out of the ground as an undead and then attacked you, that's what he, in my mind, always looked like. So here I am, I get Malleus now, and then after that, I was like my head was like broken. That thing in your head that makes you want to buy toys, that was the figure that triggered me to where I was like, I need all these, like, you know, and you know, it was crazy. Like after that, I just started buying tons of them. So
Buying tons.
yeah,
Art G. I'm going to bring up an image of Malleus so people can see what we're talking about. But
yeah. I
Art
usually,
G wants to know: do you play any video games?
um, God, I don't play anything new. I watch my son play. Um, I like I like playing Mario Kart with him. Like I love simple games where you have like points to accomplish, or you have A to B to win. You know, like racing games. But I play like real simple, goofy racing games that like, you know, um, like that. I'm when I play video games, I'm a puzzle guy.
Okay.
So I play like Tetris and other games. Like I like destroy Tetris. Like I can play Tetris like on level 20 and stuff like that. And like my brain works like that, where I just love puzzles, and I can see how it lays out, so I can, you know, get a high score and things like that. So
Nothing wrong with being that competitive. Like Mario Kart is always going to be the OG for that competitiveness. Tetris, as I'm dropping stuff here.
That's all right.
So Tetris, they had like a newer one that was pretty cool. That had like some trippy like imagery, and you could like play against somebody, and you're dropping it, and it's like sending waves, and it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. And I don't think anybody could really hate on Tetris and stuff like that. I mean, it's just classic.
Yeah, Tetris was one of those games that when it first came out, oh man, like I'd come home from school and play it for hours, and my folks played it with us too. So it was always cool when like, you know, my dad would play and he'd get mad at the video game. He's like, "Oh, damn Nintendo," you know. And we had all like we would travel like and go out of town with Game Boys and bring like boxes of batteries with us because we all had Game Boys. We'd all play Tetris all the time. There's my dude, Malleus.
There he is. There he is.
Yeah,
everybody that's watching, you're on. So save you from looking it up. This is what Walter was referring to. I mean, that's just badass, and I love the wash. And you're right, like with all the little dirt paint apps and all that stuff. Just
and that's the thing, like when you get into like named characters with like Mythic Legions, the extra detail that like even on like this is like a first release character where they used like simple armor and simple colors, and they would change like the paint scheme and call him something different. Like Tibius is basically a whitewash version of this, and he has like silver armor, and he's got like lighter skull with racing stripes on his head. You know what I mean? And to me, like this was super cool because he looked like he was dug up, and I love greens and grays. And he has that really cool like patina to him where you know he looks like something out of Jason and the Argonauts and Hercules. And then it's cool is like his background is like he's one of the main bad guys. He's like one of the sons, and he's like his character is basically the judge. He like judges people to execute them and stuff like that. So there's I don't follow too much of the lore, honestly, but I love just the looks. Like, and you start getting into like the names and what the backgrounds are. It kind of loses it because like the simplicity of these characters. You can imagine like Tibius in any type of fantasy format, or even like a zombie apocalypse type of
Army of Darkness, man.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you could get one of those like NECA figures of Ash and have him battle like Tibius, but he's just some of the cool, simple characters and designs, and the extra detail. And look, I mean, all the extra weapons he comes with, and armor parts and soft goods, like
that
and
classic,
this was
that brown sash that we get with every figure.
Yeah, well, not anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, wait, what figure did I open that I didn't get it with?
Probably one of the Alithia figures.
No, I didn't get any of those. No, it was the new deluxe Legion Builder Goblin. He didn't. He had it, but he didn't have the wing attachment. He didn't have the back attachments that we
didn't have the peg adapters. Yeah.
Yeah, none of that.
If you need any, I've got like 15 pounds of them. I'm collecting them all just so I can like make myself a house to live in one of these days.
I mean, and maybe that's why they cut back, is because we a lot of the characters that you get, you didn't really need them. But what they need to do, we need some more ones. Like the unknown one came with black ones, and I'm like, yes, we need stuff that matches the armors.
Yeah, and it's funny is like they stopped doing a lot of them because they realized they hadn't put out wings in a while, and then when they had the Alithia figures come out, and there's a wing set, and Varg, the little guy, comes with wings, and some people were like, man, he doesn't even have like a wing adapter. I'm like, well, you're supposed to like plug it into his shoulders, and like, oh, we need wing adapters again. I'm like, I remember
some people want the pauldrons and the wings though.
Oh, I know. And you could do that with that. But at the same time, like people were setting him up, and you plug it into his shoulder just so he'd look all like hunched over, like a flying monkey out of the like the Wizard of Oz. And then, or you change out his head and he looks something different. But it was funny that like here people are like, "Where's his wing adapters? And we need more so I can put this on this guy." And it's they joke about it. They're like, they can't win at all. So.
The Canuck said he's gotten all Joy Toy 40K figures released to date. That's crazy. And then RG says that's how, when I chat with them, I'll be talking to him and his wife will be like, "Oh, that's your boyfriend," because they'll be talking while he's cooking and stuff. We'll be talking about toys and stuff.
Yeah.
And Art says he loves his barbarian figure as well.
Nice.
But I think you were talking about like the OG barbarian, not this newer barbarian.
Well, so that's part of it is like the original barbarian builders.
That was part of.
That was the
Odysseus?
First, no, that's the oh my god, the factions. If you go back one page or so, back one page where you see the figures like you did.
Right. Do you know what faction he's in? I think he is the art.
I think the barbarian builders are no. I think they're under Noble Bear. Or
yeah, it's probably Noble Bear.
But the cool thing is, there you go, right there.
This one?
I think so. I can't read it. It's so small on my phone.
I'll bring it up. I was just looking to see if this is the.
That looks like it right there. Yep. That's him. So the cool thing is, like, you get that figure, you got to get like more than one of those because the options. So like, there's it's not like the new Legion builder figures have a simple paint job and one head, and that's it. Like you get a barbarian from the Legion builder, and it's simpler. Whereas the barbarian builders from the first generation, which is like the most selling figure they've had, have this, the different helmet, the Vorgus helmet, the bad guy helmet, and then you can get like the different wings, the wing helmet decor. You can have the horns, the longer horns. I think there's like feathered wings, but it comes with like, I mean, look at all that stuff. There's like 2 sets of armor, the good and the bad guy armor, 2 helmets, like 4 helmets.
Look, I didn't realize it came with all those helmet adapters.
Yeah, it came with the antlers too. Yeah. And then it came with like every weapon that they had. That barbarian builder was like I swear it's one of those things like that just needs to be like in stock all the time.
Yeah, he got the barbarian from the reinforcements wave.
Yeah, so he has the Legion builder reinforcement one, which is the simpler character, which is still awesome, but it doesn't have all the variety of weapons and helmets and armor like that one does.
So we got, and then RG did say, he said he painted his first Legions and he loves doing it. We'll definitely do more. Nice. He painted the Gladiator, which that's still another, like I'm trying to build up my Odysseus. So I was like, I need to get that Gladiator so I can paint him up, maybe paint it gold so he blends in a little bit better with the Odysseus. And then I still need to get Faustia, which my other way of getting it, I didn't have Venmo. I'm like, I got PayPal and Cash App. I don't want to get another app to transfer money around. Like I couldn't do it. But yeah, those are like, I'm trying to build up that faction because my main faction is really Aether. Like my starting point was it the Advent of Decay? Is that what it was, when the Goblin army builders dropped?
Yep.
That's what I bought some loose off of another collector that was just like, this collector would always flip-flop on what he was collecting. He'd collect the hotness, and then once it started to cool down, he'd sell it all off or whatever.
Yeah.
And I got them. Some were complete, some were missing some stuff, and I'm like, whatever. It just blew my mind on how they made the goblins look like how goblins should be. Like it's the best representation of the goblins, minus the bog goblin. I don't have a bog goblin or the hellfire goblin. I'm just like, they don't look goblin enough for me.
Yeah, they should have called them something else. It's like Thistlethorn. He's a goblin. But it's one of those things, like, that's why I don't follow the, like, in my collection, I don't follow it to the T with the lore and the factions, because you, like, the Bog Goblin's one of those, like, I liked him and then I got him and I was like, he's not a goblin. He's just like he's this like Yoda looking character, you know. He's just
he looks like a toad.
Yeah, he looks like a swamp toad guy, and it's just like, yeah, he's super cool and he looks like something out of Star Wars almost, you know, but he just didn't fit my collection, and
He didn't
he's
fit with
cool,
mine
but
either.
yeah, and I just, like, I couldn't call him a goblin, so I think I got a couple of them, and then like parted them out, and then I used like his armor and stuff for like a dwarf build, or I probably gave him away. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it, that was one. I was like, man, I was like, if I have a whole goblin army and you start building, you get the named goblins, and you have that like horde right there. And if you threw
Yeah.
one of those in there, it's just like, it's weird. It just didn't seem to fit even with the faction, you know.
Yeah, and it was crazy too, because like when Eric Treadaway was making those goblins, it was like coming to him super easy and natural, where he was cranking out those, like, when the Advent of Decay was like selling, and the GoFundMe stuff and all that stuff, he was cranking those things out. Like, at one point he was like not being able to keep up with like how much money people were spending, because as soon as like when the first goblins hit, like the Advent of Decay pre-order and GoFundMe went from like it was like cruising along and doing good and people were buying stuff, and then like when the first goblins hit, it just went boom, and it went and it took off.
They nailed them.
And then Eric was building and making, and he apparently has a big file full of goblins. Yeah, like the builder, like that one, and it comes with like, I think, a second head too. But like he made that, and it was like everybody wanted to, like, I mean, it was one of those figures that like saved me from like going crazy and like, I don't want elves, I don't want this, but I wanted like a ton of goblins. So I've got like dozens of goblins. Yeah, there's an awesome one with his armored head.
Yeah. And again, they're going to be like all these, as we're looking at some of them, when we're talking about Army Builders Deluxe, Army Builders, these are ones that don't get as much of the paint love on the armors like the named figures. So anybody that's watching, if you've collected Warhammer, D&D minis, and you paint them and stuff, this is something that's for those. Like, you can keep it plain, like I kept mine plain, but you can also take some paints, have some fun with it, tweak up the armor, and make it like how you want it to look.
I've seen these guys painted wild colors for like tributes to like Labyrinth.
Yeah. I've seen those too, and I wanted them. I was like, they looked amazing, because I love Jim Henson and stuff.
And the craziness is, like, some of these figures at the time, they're a little harder to get now because they're several years old, but the builders were one of those things that people were buying like just hordes of them, and then making little platoons. I mean, that's what I did. You have like a little platoon army behind like a named character, and then you could, and the cool thing, you go back to it, you could part swap to where you can have like Gonks. You could have Gonks there, and then add his armor or swap out the head, and now you have Gonks. King Noglin was one of my favorite characters of all of those. I think I have like 3 or 4 of those.
I love this figure. I have, only thing I don't like is mine right now he has a little bit of loose wrist, so that weight of the staff, he keeps like, he doesn't want to hold it straight up, so I got to sort of like make the bottom part down here sort of hold. But I have him standing at the very front, and all like the goblins behind him, and then of course you got to have your like you're talking about Gonks and the bigger guys that are more in those like dwarven bodies.
Yeah, he's got the dwarf body with the big hammer. And it's funny, he's like, so Noglin I have like Gonks next to him, but I have Noglin, I took his staff and I gave him like one of the maces. So he has that same golden mace head, because a lot of the parts on these weapons all interact and you can swap out too. So I took the head off of that golden mace, and then I put it on a wooden handle, and he uses it like his scepter. and it's like he still has the same type of weapon, but it's a handheld, simple one, and he uses it as like he's goes around and teaches the other goblins what's up. He just goes around and smacks them in the head. And
This is probably
now,
one of my favorite goblins.
Snag is probably the standalone. They need to remake him. I have one of him, and then I've got my Snag is cool. I parted them all out and redid him to where he's barefoot, so he's got green feet.
Oh, nice.
He's got green hands, so everything's barefoot because that way he can walk around barefoot and he's even more quiet and he can sneak in and steal stuff. And that's Snag's probably like
I was so glad to get him. When I got him, I'm like, this is the rogue thief goblin that you have to have in your goblin army.
Yeah, and he comes, and it's cool because he comes with like a weird accessories of just random parts.
Because he's a thief.
and he's stolen stuff. He comes with extra weapons that it's definitely not to his size. But he looks like he's just like his name. He snagged a bunch of stuff and thrown it in his sack, and he's taken off, and
I wish they would have gave us a sack with them. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that's one of those like if they're gonna redo him, I would say they need to redo him and do like a 2.0 version of him to where he has like new stuff. Like he has like a satchel and like soft goods and a couple different versions of weapons. But he has like a lot of cool stuff. He comes with like all those helmet accessories and things like that. And he's one of those like I wish I had more of him. I gave one away. Snag's still like traveling the world.
Really?
Yeah, I made one as a Snag, and I took all the stuff off of him, and I gave him a cool box and a notebook, and I called him the Traveler. So I sent him out into the world, and he's been to like just about every state, and he's supposed to be going international pretty soon too.
Nice.
Yeah, last time I saw him, he was in New Jersey, and I had a picture of him, and I got like one of those, like artist notebooks.
Yeah.
One of those big ones that's, and God, like half of it was filled with all of his adventures and where people had been and taking them and all that stuff. It was just one of those fun theme things that I wanted to do, but people loved it.
I mean, that's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
Now, Rectangular here says he loves Mythic Legions, but the white plastic use for the joints still annoys me. Has the company started using color plastic joints now?
A lot of that was on the first generation, and it's like anything. It's hard to get like the paint inside those elbows and joints and stuff, and then when they pop and swap like the wrist armor and the gloves, it's still underneath there, but it's hard to not get that paint rub.
Uh-oh, we lost him.
It's going to happen or not. So sorry about that. Someone's trying to call me.
Oh, it's all good. Nice. All right. So yeah. So maybe eventually it's. But I mean, I don't know. Do they? I think the newer ones don't have white. It's sort of like a gray
Yeah, it's not as bad as it used to be. But like I think the new ones. Like maybe on the Legion builders, they're not as prolific as before, because a lot of it was the white in the joints, and then they would get the paint rub after a little bit, and you'd have like a little bit of white and pop up. But
yeah, like on the Black Knight, he has black joints. Like even with the paint, once the paint wore off, there's actually black for the joint there. So let's see. And Rectangular says I have that deluxe barbarian and he is excellent. RG saying I really want Delphina and Gwendolyn Heaven's brand.
Oh yeah, those are not easy to get. they're oh man, those are some figures. Those are God, the women. I have very few of the female characters because they don't fit into like my collection. But the detail on the female collectors, I have a
Oh,
Delphina.
come on. You're not into the when they announced. Where is it? Where is this beautiful? Look at this. You couldn't get into that.
I have them, but they're not in with my collection.
Like this, I can't wait for this figure.
Yeah, like I'll get them, and it's just one of those like I've got so many like bad guy villains. Like I'm not a completist, and I'll buy extras of some figures where like like I'll have like my skeleton horde and like I've got demons and the barbarians. But I mean, it's not like I don't have them. Like I have like a few of the dwarfs. I only have like 2 or 3 dwarfs, but they're not in my style of characters. I have like dozens of the ogre scales. I love the big ogre figures like Archimedes and Decilibus.
Do you have a favorite faction?
The Arethyr faction is one of my favorites. The Necrocomus one. And then Noble Bear is really cool because of the characters. But I don't like I said, my style of collecting and with the Mythic Legions, I don't follow like the rules in the lore.
So you get the ones that you like and you mix them however the heck you want.
Yeah, a lot of my figures
Okay.
are not like untouched. Like I have Azar and Zazar, and then I have them as like I have like multiples of them, and then I have one as like left alone, and then I have other ones that are behind them, and I look at them as more like a tribe.
Okay.
So they're like in my mind they look cool and they're standalone, but they're more of a like a tribal demon. Yeah, because if you look at them, they have like this bright, beautiful colors, and they have all these like tribal style markings on them, and they all come with like the spear. So like I have them set up to where I have one set like that, and then I have a couple of them behind them to where they look like they're like a. I think of them as like those African tribes, to where they do their own thing. They're not part of like a main society and that kind of stuff, to where they're outside, and they're very simple, but they still have those same type of powers like they have like in the lore of like creation, but there's not many of them, you know what I mean? So yeah, I have like 3 or 4 of them.
That's I don't have any, I'm trying to keep myself to stick with factions due to the fact that it keeps me out of trouble. Like I
Yeah.
just feel like I will go crazy. Like example being like once I found out that where is he? He's not in here. It was like the shaman, the orc shaman. I was like, oh, he's not part of Aether Wave, so I don't or
Yeah.
faction. I don't have to worry about that, But so
He,
you're probably excited about this dude then.
oh yeah, like, but see, he's one of those like he's freaking huge. Like, I mean that figure's like 9, almost 10 inches tall, and he is like crazy detailed and colorful. So he might be one of those like I'll get one, maybe 2 of them, but I'll get one of them, and he'll be like a standalone. Like he'll be like in my idea is like he'll be like the god type being for the tribe. But like in the lore, Azar and Zazar combined and become Azazazar. So Azazazar, Zazar.
Yeah, that's a mouthful right there.
Oh man, I remember being there for the reveal, and I'm like, how? Like, thank God, like Eric was there, and he's like talking, and I'm like, dude, I can't say half of these names.
Yeah, even with me, I was just like, all right. I was like, let me go check out what the Legion of Aether. I was like, all right, Aether's awesome. I'm like going through the list. I'm like, oh, I don't got a boar. That doesn't seem like it would fit. I'm not going to worry about it. Boglin, no. Don't need any of the dwarves. I don't have any orcs. Like I missed out every time on
Yeah,
really all of them. I do have the forest troll, the second one.
yeah. And see, for me, like way in the beginning, like I missed out on Erethyr. I mean, on Gorgo.
But
I
we get
missed
the
out.
second one though.
Yeah, and see, I was lucky enough to see like when Gorgo was being remade. I'm like, cool. Like I'm not chasing down like the original. I'm getting the second one. Um, and then I missed out on the first release, and he's super cool. Like he's like the Darth Vader of the line. But now that they're remaking him and they're making this version of him with the crazy, shield, and he's got the Aether blade again, and he's got better armor and better like he'll have the better plastic and joints. And so I'm waiting for that. Like I'll have him and I'll get one of him and he'll be like my super villain Darth Vader-esque guy. So I won't have to like army build him. But like all the orcs, like I missed out on all those orcs and the shadow orcs and all that. I never got any of those because I was buying others from the line. Like I buy, Noglin, and I have like 3 of him. And the trolls, I've got like 16 trolls. So
Yeah, I didn't get the stone troll.
yeah, the Stone Troll 2 is awesome. The Stone Troll 1 is my favorite.
I guess I do have an orc, so I got that. I got one of those 2 packs. So I do, I guess, technically have one orc. This guy. But I was wanting to get Vorthog to be my entrance into him, but I'm like, man, I got to play a lot of catch up, and I don't. It's expensive to play catch up when you're dealing with Mythic Legions.
Yeah,
like I passed up on Purpler when he was on sale for many times. I'm like, I don't know, I don't really need him. Blah blah. Now I'm like kicking myself in the butt for not getting them.
Yeah, God, I had a dozen of those.
So it's just like there's some that slip past that I regret, but like it just some of the stuff just doesn't make sense for me. Like I was like, I don't see why I need dwarves.
Yeah, like I didn't go after any of the dwarves, and when I had King Bromden, I had like 3 of them, and I was like, I got them.
It's an amazing figure. It just
and that's, I mean, he's super cool, crazy cool armor. Like I bought 3 of them, right? So I had him set up like that, and then he comes with the extra head to where he has like the knight head. So I had one set up as a king, and then I had 2 of them on the sides as like the royal guard. And I just couldn't get into like the dwarf idea. So I took his head off. I had 2 of those set up like that one. So then I took his head off, and I put that bearded bald head, and I put him on a barbarian builder, and he looked like this big Viking. Like he looks like this, like on a barbarian builder. You take that and you put it on. He looked like this classic.
He's all
like,
jacked.
Yeah, he was like this jacked like barbarian, and he had the dark arm. I'm like, cool, this is like perfect. I'm like, he looks like this Viking, and I gave him a different name, and that's how he's displayed in my display. He's super cool still, but he's not a dwarf anymore. And I gave the other ones away. Like I just gave them to a couple friends, and they love the hell out of them. I actually have I have his freaking crown just randomly sitting here too. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, "Do you have his crown?" I'm like, "Actually, I do. I don't use it."
So we got Rectangular saying he needs the Goblin King and one other hard to find Goblin. He also said he needs Snag is the other one I need.
Yeah, Snag is the one. If you're gonna chase something down, Snag is the one to chase down.
Snag for new All Stars wave is what RG's saying.
Yeah, I hope they do Snag for like an All Star wave. I don't know what they're gonna post up for. When some of those. Yeah, Juno's awesome. I have Juno.
Who's Juno?
Juno's the female barbarian.
Part of the Bears again?
Yeah. She's the one that has like the big shaved head, the tattooed on her head, and where is she?
No, she's I think she's part of Aether stuff, I think. Yeah, they tossed her with the Aether. I don't have her either, but she was where it is. Right that one.
Yeah, the Crusher. I have her. She's in my barbarians and stuff. She's a badass.
Look at that. I mean, that just looks badass.
Yeah, she's one of those figures that like I didn't mess with. She's pretty cool. And with the detail on her and all her options, she looks and is like a standalone character. She's one of those, if you're going to chase down like a figure, that's one to chase down. She was hard to get for a while.
Rectangular says he doesn't follow the lore of the brand either.
Yeah,
And then, oh, Juju, I need two. Everybody's saying they need her.
yeah, yeah. Juno's one of
Art.
those. She went up and down in price pretty quick, and then I think she came out. Um, they had what was it? They had some weird thing with where they found more of her or something, or she became like more affordable. It was like one of those random things. Like she started popping up at the cons again, so like the prices came way back down on her.
Yeah, and then RG says I don't order enough legions. I've been trying to make him he's trying to get me to get all of them. Like once I realized that new wave was a lot of remakes and stuff for Order of Ethereon, I was like, okay, I'm good. I can take a break. I don't need to worry about it. But
Yeah,
I mean, I already have for the at least with Aether dropping, I got
and
what is that?
if you go to any of the conventions or get a chance to, or
Lady
have somebody
Avona.
out there, you have somebody pick up. Sometimes that's what happens is like they'll bring like a case of Juno, and it's just like whoa, like here's Juno for like $40 instead of like he's awesome. He's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I got him pre-ordered. I got that evil person, the lady Avona or whatever her name was.
Yeah,
And then I got a
these
couple of these both spell things that they dropped
yeah
because I felt like
the
he needed them.
this Poxus wave of those figures are gonna be they're crazy detailed. I look forward to like the genie type character, that new I love the goblins, the mages, and the wizards. Um, Arakagor's in there. God, I need Arakagor so bad. And then Poxus alone is just
Yeah,
amazing.
Poxus looks wicked.
He is insane in person. That's the good thing I love doing. What I do is like I get to go play with all these in person too. So
Yeah,
there's nothing like picking up like a prototype delicate figure and I'm like, wow, look at this, and they're like, Walter, put it down.
you're like it's mine.
It's
But
like
yeah,
I'm like, wow, yeah. He's got so much detail. Like, hopefully a lot of people ordered him, and he's gonna be one of those figures that like if you didn't get him, you're gonna regret it. He's crazy. He's got so much stuff on him, and he's huge too. He's like a 7-8 inch figure too.
here's that genie you're talking about.
Yeah, Calazar. He's badass. He's in that brute scale. He's a big character too, and he's got such cool colors.
Yeah, look at the pattern they did on the soft goods as well.
Yeah, CJ killed it with that stuff.
Yeah, that's insane detail on his scimitar.
Yeah, he's got a weapon set and his accessories like that necklace piece. He's got the lamp.
That sword is so good.
That's that sword is like 4 inches. It's freaking massive.
And maybe it was bad to have you on here because then you're making me regret not getting certain figures. I'm like, man,
That's what I do, man. Like, why do you
because
hate me?
yeah, man, I'm trying to be good with it, but you know, in
Yeah,
reality, the best way to get your mythic legions, let's sort of get into those details about that. Is I at least my view is you get it when they go up for pre-order for
yeah,
best pricing. You get them at conventions,
yep.
and
If you're in an area, you can go to a convention or have somebody out in that area. If you can go to a convention, it's super fun, and then they're there, and it's always a surprise what they bring out, what we bring out and put out for display.
oh, look at RG throwing all my stuff up there. Arthur's lazy. I've been trying to get him to go to cons too. Whatever. It's the convenience, man. I got one vehicle household, so it doesn't really
Yeah.
work out as convenient as I would like.
And where are you again?
I'm in Maryland.
Oh yeah, see.
I'm like because I was literally in order for so RG ended up helping me get the unknown one.
Oh cool.
And then because he's so damn likable, every he found somebody that was helping him get the 2 packs. That was before I guess they opened like the floodgates and let everybody buy multiples.
Yeah,
Um,
once the line kind of died down, if you will, like, and you know what's ironic is like I didn't go in line. I was talking to him later. I was like, I don't want to be in line and like grab stuff. And I was out doing my thing and getting pulled in every direction, and I didn't even get a chance to get those con exclusive ones. I had to call Jeremy up and be like, dude, when the next shipment comes in, can you like put a couple aside?
I need one more so I can have all 4 of those damn things built. Like I was
Yeah,
like, man, I need to get it. But then somebody was saying that the conversions are going to be releasing non-convention ones, I guess.
yeah, later down the road.
So I'm like, all right, I can pick up the 2 I'm missing. You know,
Yeah, and they'll be like cheaper basically. They'll be like in that like $35 range,
they won't
37.
have the Panther set up, the Red
Yeah,
Panther head and stuff.
yeah, that's the only downfall is like the exclusives are always one of those things with cons, and they do it honestly because that way you're going to a special event and getting that in line and doing it that way. But the cool thing though is they reissue them and then they even have them up for sale at Jeremy's Legion shop. So it's not like you have to go, but you could go
Oh
to
man,
Legion shop.
those sold out quick as heck.
Oh yeah,
I was like, maybe I should try to get a second set. Boom, they
like
were
2
gone. I
minutes.
was like, oh
Yeah.
man.
Well, and that's the thing is like everybody that couldn't go to the con or whatever, it's that stuff happens, man. It's like the in stock sales and some of these on hand stuff, um, like the Figure Obscura line when they did that, I was like, man, that's cool. I want the headless horseman. And went boom, it was like sold out that first. I'm like, okay, you
I
know,
I ain't gonna lie, I almost passed on it.
I
I almost did.
I'm lucky to where like I didn't have to try. I'll just say that.
Lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
I working with the Horseman is definitely there's a million benefits for wanting the certain figures. Like I pick up my phone and I'm just like, do,
that's
can I have
that's
like
a
2 of
beautiful
these?
thing.
Yeah, like, but they definitely they love what I do, and I'm very fortunate in what I get. So, but I don't take advantage of it either. I mean, there's
No,
definitely.
you've helped out a lot of people in the community.
Oh
I
yeah,
know when I was looking for some figures, you've helped me with some figures. You weren't trying to like drag me across some coals for it. You've been really you're like that's sort of what the cabal sort of is too. Like a lot of the people in there, nobody's trying to take advantage of people.
yeah, yeah.
And
There's very rare times where you hurt. I mean, the whole scalper thing is like such a. It's like throwing out like a you know derogatory insult or whatever towards somebody. It's like it's not like you can't scalp stuff if it's up for pre-order and available at like Big Bad Toy Store. You just what happens is just people are buying them and we all regret missing it, and then when they're sold out, like, hey, I've got like this extra Legion builder, I'll sell it to you for $75. Well, that's what you got to pay because they're sold out,
yeah, and
you know
they're sort of limited runs in sense. Once they're gone, they're gone.
yeah.
Unless they get voted into the all stars, and like that's a roll of the dice too. You know,
Well,
but
and yeah, you look at like Azar is Azar and Zazar were both in the All Star processes pre-order. Yeah, those
he
those
ordered it.
figures perfect.
And then I'm Arthur's guy when I go to convention. It's true. It's true. RG works. I forgot who he says he does stuff for, but he's usually at a lot of the conventions. So,
That's awesome.
thankfully I got some friends that'll be like, "Hey, you need any of these?" And it's like, depending on the funds, like I'll go one way or the other because it is they pump out some cases of figures that you're like, wait a sec, why is that there? Like, what wasn't
Yeah.
it? One of the conventions they went to, they bust out one of those like Eagles, like the
Oh,
American,
Eagles.
like the fourth,
Yeah.
yeah, busted that out, and people are like, "What? Where did that come from?"
Yeah. And they do. And you know what's funny is so we'll do it to where like there's like Saturday stuff and then there's a Sunday stuff. And there's times like I'm like moving cases and open stuff and I'm like, oh shit! Like I'm like, I need one of these, and I'll put it one off to the side, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, And then, but most of the time, I'm always cool about it. Like I don't take advantage of it when I'm opening it and putting it on display. There's been like one or two times where, but that was with the last time I did it was with Decelibus because I didn't have one yet. And they had Alithia at RetroCon. And it was the first time like Alithia had been out. And I was like unloading. I'm like, oh, dude, this is awesome. Like, well, I need one of these, you know. But I knew there was like another like 10 cases of them back there.
Right,
So
right. You weren't like, forget you guys. I'm getting
yeah,
dibs. I'm just going to take it all, you know.
I'm Walter. I need one.
Toy Culprit said, good evening. Good evening, Toy Culprit.
Yeah.
He says, pre-order everything you can, laugh out loud, don't regret it later.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all like to go to that route. I tell people, like I said in the beginning, it's like I'm not made of money. I'm a regular dude, but you know, don't go past your means of spending. You know, don't make yourself go broke. And if you can, don't chase things. Ask around. That's one of the benefits. And excuse me, one of the nice things too, I've done many a times where like I know people and I talk to certain collectors and I know guys that have like extras of certain figures. Like there was like when Juno started going crazy in price and she started to hit like 100 120 $150 a figure. I was like, there's no way. Like I'm like, I know somebody that has like a few of her, and like, so I'd hit him up and be like, hey man, can I get a Juno for somebody, and put it in his price range, and you guys talk and work it out. And they would work it out, and it was a realistic, reasonable price to where he's paying just above what he paid for it. So it's like, it's nice to hang out and socialize and meet people and talk online, and you get those relationships going to where it's just like you're not paying that scalper price or well, I say the eBay price, because I think the eBay prices are, in my opinion, are way inflated.
Oh man, come on. When they all those exclusives and all that stuff, and even like with the
The first day.
obscure, like the headless horseman and all that stuff, like people like somebody must have went to the convention and like right away put it on eBay. Like they had it up there. It's like,
I
what are you
watched
doing?
guys. I watched those guys. Like I knew like two of those guys that did that. I watched them, and they got them, and they're like looking around for a place to take a photo, and they literally, you could figure out, they went up to their room, so nobody saw them do it in person, but they ran up, took a picture of it. It was on eBay for $300 or whatever, and then instantly it's on the Cabal. Like, who the hell's doing this?
Well, because
Like,
people need to know who they need to sort of, stink eye a little bit, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, but but the good thing is like we'll make fun of them, and people try to like, oh my god, like I can't believe this is happening. I go, well, it happens with everything. It's not just Mythic Legions. It's it's Star Wars. It's GI Joe. It's anything that becomes exclusive to where I mean, hell, like it goes to like, shoot, yeah, I got one of those.
Like
I
I saw those going on eBay, and Ricky was like, "That's not what he wants. Like he doesn't want his plunderlings to people be scalping them like that and stuff." And
yeah,
um, but
yeah,
yeah, I was just surprised. Like I got it. Like actually, who was it? My buddy Toy Father. He does figure photography. He was going to the convention that had those originally, and he's like, "You need this?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, I do!" Because Art G was
yeah,
going to be the one that was going to do it for me for the at the Legions Con.
yeah,
And so he got it, and then people were like talking about it, like, "Oh, this is on eBay. Look how much!" It's like, I'm like, that's crazy.
yeah,
Like people just grabbing this stuff that may not even care about it. And what hurts the most is like you just see these people that are really passionate about it. They're like, "Man, I was at work. I'm working this," and then you're like, "That's awful." Like you got somebody that went there, got something they didn't even care about. They want to try to make profit off of, when there's somebody
yeah.
that would actually get like enjoyment out of it that missed out. Like
Yeah.
that's the bummer
It's
part.
that's the hard part, and the the classic like FOMO. You're missing out, and like I've done that. I've been that way, and then I've also been the guy that's lucked out and gone to the conventions, and I've been able to get mine, and then I've been at conventions to where like I'll get mine, set it aside, and everybody goes through the line, and we still have some extras, and then it's just like, I'm gonna buy an extra one. Is that cool? And I go, look here, I'm buying an extra one just for myself in case somebody later down the road wants it. And I'll have like the random people that hit me up. And I very, very, very rarely do I buy anything at a show for somebody because they're like, they know I'm there. And with like Mythic Legions, they're like, hey, if you see like Malleus at the table, grab me like 3 of them. I'm like, dude, no, like. Like I know what's being like I most of these shows, like I know what's being put out and set up, and I'm excited too, but like I don't want to be related to that situation to where like I can get 3 of these and the line is like right there and people are watching me like, I'm gonna take 3 of these and the rest are for sale. Like I'm like, dude, like I would never want to be like part of that because that would suck.
Archie said he saw someone take pictures of the show floor, and you could see the hotel carpet from Legion's Con.
Yeah.
For eBay.
Yeah. I knew 1 or 2 of those guys.
Toy Culprit makes a point. At least 4 Horsemen do regular releases of exclusives that are almost the same later at times. Yeah. And also with the 4 Horsemen, you got to give them like crazy credit because they open their pre-orders for a long time. They open up, hey, this is coming out. They tease us and get us salivating for these figures because the figure photographer, 1/6 shooter, Trevor.
Yeah,
he's doing some amazing work, and it's like he just really captures those figures. You're just like, man.
Well, it's funny is like I give Trevor so much crap, and he's a awesome human being. He's such a nice guy. We just help with Toys for Tots and on his channel just the other day, and I go, and he hates when I say it, that the photos don't do them justice in him.
No,
but his photos make everything else look like basic boring. His photos, like he causes me to spend money because his photos, like they look like movie props or movie setups, and they look like they're gonna pop off the screen and like the figures are gonna start battling and all this stuff. And I'm just like, damn it, Trevor! Like you just cost me like $500.
You're like, I want that to be on my shelf, and you can do that with so many people that are doing like custom dios and stuff, and you just set them up on a detail, and you can just have that whole scene. And I get exactly what you're talking about. You see it, you're like, oh, the lights hitting off the figure and stuff. You're like. It was like I was getting what was it? I was blown away by the girl, that sort of zombie girl that comes with all like the dead animals, like the skeleton animals, like the skeleton snake and all that stuff. Like I was like, man, that figure is beautiful.
That figure's crazy nice in hand. That figure comes with a ton of stuff. It's amazing in hand, and it's one of those things like when I was online doing the G-Con reveals and stuff, and like I was trying not to say it, but like I'm like, dude, this thing in hand is so cool, and he's just like, God, yeah, really, Walt, he's like he's off camera like over here, and he's like looking at me like, I know, thanks, but we're sitting there playing and revealing like that skeleton with the wings and the longer arms and the forearms, and it's like this builder almost of the skeleton. And it comes with all these accessories. It has the skeleton torso and everything. And it's just like so detailed on just all the anatomy of the skeleton. Yeah.
And might as well bring it up as you're talking about it.
So I'm lucky enough to I get to reveal this with Nate Barch, and we're sitting there talking about this, and we're just trying not to say like and he has to take photos of these things, and they're like one of a kind prototypes, hand painted, and they're very delicate. So like even when I get a chance, I'm sitting there in front of them and playing with these things, and they're just like Eric and Jim and all the guys, they don't mind, but when Cameron and Joe and some of the other guys that painted these things by hand and have hours into making this stuff to then send off to be prototyped, they're just like, Walter, stop touching it, and I'm sitting there and making fun of it in a sense because these things are so cool and so detailed and so cool in hand that the photos don't do it justice. And there's Trevor just going, oh, And he's having to take pictures of these one of a kind, hand painted, super delicate to where like the wings are barely held in there because they're just, you know, they're delicate, you know, they're not
Right.
factory production plastic. It's like 3D printing. Yeah, that's awesome. And then here he is, and he has to take that photo and make it super creative and detailed and make it so cool. And then he'll tell me later, and I'm sitting there BSing with him. We're like eating donuts and bagels, you know, during lunch, and he's sitting there telling me all how he had to do that. And I'm just like, damn it, Trevor. Like how, he goes, that took forever to take that shot because the wing kept falling out and this and that. And he's sitting there telling me how he does these, and I'm just like, you realize you cost people thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for your photo that you probably took 2 hours to take and you got frustrated with.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
Greg Culprit saying some people paid a lot to get to and to stay at the con too. Never know when you're judging people.
excuse me.
But I don't know. It's like with going to a convention, like, yeah, you may pay a lot to, I guess if you're trying to recoup your investment to get to the con. I guess that's
Yeah,
I guess people why they put them on eBay, I don't know. I mean, I
there's
guess I
people,
could see
yeah,
that, but
yeah.
if I
There's people that do that, and they have that mentality, and there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. You know, they're say driving from, you know, Maryland down to like Philadelphia, and here you are like hours of driving, and then you get there and you find figures at like, you know, go into that idea of that you go to a Horseman event and there's figures on the table that you haven't seen anywhere else, and they bring out old inventory just randomly, and you can buy it for $40, and then you realize, man, like this figure's on eBay for like 120 right now.
I,
You know,
I guess I never look at it. I guess when I get stuff, I never really look at it as like, oh, I need to do this, or like,
yeah,
say I went to Legion's Con. That was like, it's like if I had the vehicle at the time, it would have been a 2.5 hour drive.
yeah,
I would have went and I wouldn't have thought of let me pick up a figure to flip to try to make my money back.
yeah,
I
but
guess
that's,
I don't know. I guess
yeah, and
everybody has to do it some way, some shape or form.
yeah,
So I
and
definitely get that.
there's people that do that, and like in my opinion, you know, if that's what you want to do, hey, you know, I mean that like I said, I could take advantage of it if I wanted to. I mean, here I am, like I fly across the country and it's like 8 to 10 hour flights. I'm like one of the first persons and people working, and I'm looking at it going like, there's all these figures that I get to put out. If I wanted to, I could set like a case of it off to the side of stuff that I wanted, and then I could pay for it and sell everything else with the Horseman, and then later I could be like, oh, cool, look, I have these. But I don't do that. Like, you know, it's not my thing. But there's guys that they buy extras to sell, and there's guys that buy extras just to have more. Like I buy extras just because I need more Malleus, you know. So
Right.
I go to a show and I'm like, I need like 20 more Malleus, you know.
He said it, the pictures definitely did them justice this time around.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely some
Colin's
love into the photos for sure.
yeah, Colin's right. He's, you know, the photos that Trevor does with these and set up. I don't envy his job at all. But
It's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work. Like the oh man, I forget which one he did, that he said it took like forever just to get the setup. And I think it was one of the skeletons. Well, it might be that one there, but he had to uh, perch him up higher. And the way, no, it wasn't that one. He had one where he was telling me the story of it. It took hours to do, and I think it was this one. Yeah.
Yep.
So the way he told me he had this set up, and I'm kind of remember the story because we were talking a bunch of different things. But he had to like, this thing was like super delicate, one off, you know, all kinds of soft goods, and then the head is, you know, multiple pieces that's been 3D printed out. but he's saying he wanted it to get like an angelic image to where it's like flying in and like coming down, and he said it took forever just because of the setup. And he said once he had the setup, he took like 1,000,000 photos of it, and then then like the figure like fell over. You know what I mean?
But this is a beautiful shot. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
shot. He really captured what he was looking to do with it.
yeah. He did some amazing photos. I don't know if it has some of the other ones. The giant knight one was another one he did.
That's with the other faction.
The one that with Greg, where it's named after Greg, my buddy. Sir something. There he is.
This one?
Yeah, bottom left.
Oh, bottom. Yeah, this one, right?
Yeah, I can't say Greg's last name. I make fun of him.
Oh, okay.
But he did this photo. He did this photo. This thing's just that thing just looks like Juggernaut with a hammer, bro. Like,
yeah, like that's what almost made me get all crazy. I didn't realize it was that faction. I thought it was a brand new faction. I was like, okay, I can get into these because they're like that holier than thou type of faction where they got like the the scripture on them and stuff like that. But this one is just insane, and I could see them making like some bigger figures like this for like even Aerthur's like group with like just making them with like spikes and just mean looking.
Yeah, the armor setup on this one, just I mean, and it goes back to that fun part of it where you get the pop and swap. So not only like here's this giant, I mean, and that figure's like the size of your shoe. He's like I think 10 inches tall. He's a monster.
The detail in the hammer.
So the hammer's like almost the size of it's like the size of a can. It's huge. So it has all this detail, and then you look at it, you can head swap them, you could take all the armor and set them up in different ways. But you also got to remember is like that armor pop and swaps with all the other ogres. So if you have a Bolthor, you could take half of his armor off on his arm and shoulder, and then put it on Bolthor and have like a gladiator style knight giant ogre barbarian. And then you could take like the Legion Builder ogres that came with, you could put like the flesh arms onto him and then just keep like the gauntlets on. You know what I mean? There's so many capabilities, but that figure alone, like I need like I'm gonna get like 4 or 5 of those.
He's a big boy.
And yeah, he's like I want to say it's almost 9 to 10 inches tall. It is monstrous, and that hammer is like it's almost like it's those like smaller not 12 ounce like the smaller Pepsi cans and Coke cans.
Yeah. It's the ones that people do like trick or treating Pepsi cans, I guess.
Yeah, they're like that size. It's like that 8-ounce size can or whatever. That thing's that big with wings, and then it's got a face on it too. That's amazing. So this new wave is just it's mind blowing. It's so amazing in hand, and then the photos that Trevor did for it. Go back to that is just he killed it with those photos. And then like I said, his basic photos of the breakdown of the figures, like I love that stuff alone. I've got all those photos on my phone.
Yeah, they're clean. He does great work. Yeah, for sure. Now we've been talking for 2 hours, and I don't want to keep you past longer than you have to.
Oh, dude, it wouldn't be the first time I ramble.
No, it's good. So, where can people find you? Where can people find Mythic Legions, the Cabal? Like, go ahead and I'm also in the description. Once this goes up, I'm going to put all the links to everything down below as well, to Instagram, to the group, and all that stuff. But
yeah, I know. I told you I got to put your graphic up and the link in for later. I do that on mine. I didn't even get a chance to do all that.
It's all right. I posted a quick like, hey, in a couple minutes I'll be with Walter and stuff like that. But
and the best part I always love is those videos, and we do that stuff, and people go back and watch it. Once they're in the Cabal, people go back and watch it, and add it on there.
And can't forget the Cosmic Cabal too.
That's
I'll definitely link them both.
And So Colin's one of my admins. He's super awesome. I love all the stuff that he does for us and helps and comes to the events and like he was at GCon and all that stuff. But
look, look at him trying to. He's like, oh, the all in, just good math. I know it is. I know it is. I
yeah,
know.
you know the all in's cool because like if you actually add it all up, like you basically get like free shipping or you get like a figure included. You know, like
I
all the
know.
accessory pack. You get it for
I'm
free.
I'm I'm being good. I want to continue building up the fill some holes in my Aerther faction, and then I know they're going to be releasing probably some more goblins down the road, more demons and stuff like that. So I'm like, that there's going to be that moment where I'm going to be like, oh, this is a no brainer, all in for me for that one. You know, with
Yeah,
all the stuff that I collect, it's like you got to be. I'm starting to dwindle it a lot down to where like I like my GI Joe classified, but then I like my Mythic Legions. I have some of the Mezcos and Storm Collectibles, Mortal Kombat stuff, but like pretty much like I'm leaning a lot more towards like the GI Joe and Mythic Legions because I just have a lot more fun with them, and that they look great on a shelf. They take amazing photos, and you get your dollars worth. Like I think it's just the value and the worth is there with those figures,
yeah,
especially now that I know like, hey, I can get them straight when they go up for pre-order for a great price. You
yeah,
know, if I miss it, yeah, I'll pay a little bit more of a premium, but it's through Big Bad or whatever. But at least they're still, I'm still feeling like I'm getting my value with them with the amount of stuff they cram with these figures.
yeah.
You know,
You could easily like. I mean, even going back as far as like air theater stuff, like there was the last few shows we went to, like air theater was for sale at the table, and you could pick them up for like I think it was like
you
50
can sort of
$55.
you can sort of see my Aerther on his horse right there.
Yeah, but it's one of those cool things. Like you know, there those figures are still out there. Like if you miss out on a troll, and you're like, I don't know if I want a troll, you know, because they're like
Oh,
110.
I had to get the Force Troll when that second Force Troll dropped. I was like, I
Yeah,
had to. You got to have a troll in your collection. They're like little
yeah.
children.
They're I love them, and I'm excited because like when the new ones will come out soon and all that. Like I ordered like 6 of them, so like I'm gonna have like more versions of the same figure. Like I've got such a problem with these.
Look at RG. Being good means you do all.
Yeah, being good is buying all in and then go from there. But it's fun too is to find the stuff that you like and enjoy it. You know, like I was excited like for you know when the Black Friday uh, sales went on, like some of the Joe stuff was like cheaper. Like I was like, dude, I could buy and afford some of these GI Joe figures that I don't have yet. But then I could spend the rest of my money on Mythic Legions. So
Yeah, because that's, I mean, and seeing that Art keeps, you guys keep pushing this all in, and it's like that all in with the faction that just dropped with both of them. I feel
yeah,
like I'd still have to go back and gobble up some skeletons, which would be a pain. But all the reveals for that whole freaking wave just looks amazing.
they're so
That
cool. Um, to be part of the Horseman and be part of that reveal and you know tell people when I was at the studio and people were excited for me and they're like I told you know Treadaway and Jim and the guys that I was like I've waited like 5 years for this. Like this was the skeletons and everything that I've been waiting for forever, and it was cool for Eric to tell me. And he told several people at the shows also. He goes, "This was the one that they didn't have to like hold back on. They didn't have to like have restraints. They now built up their archive and their lore and their details, and they could didn't have to be like shy about making certain characters because they knew it was going to be a hit. Um, the first couple ones that they did, they were always like concerned if people were going to like it, and then they were always blown away. And they did tell people this, and I've told this story too. Is like they're always blown away by how much these people, the fans and everybody, and how we all love this stuff, and we're still chasing them down and still asking about old figures, and they're like, they're like the all-star stuff is funny because they go, we want to build new stuff and you guys want all the old stuff too, and we're like, yeah, give us the old stuff and give us the new stuff, give us space stuff, we don't care, we want it all, so
Yeah, and the space stuff, that'd probably be another couple-hour rant about all the
oh
Cosmic
yeah,
Legion stuff and how awesome those look.
yeah, anytime you want to talk about cosmic, hopefully
And
soon.
you are more than welcome to go live anytime with me. If you feel like, hey, I got some stuff I just want to chit chat about, and I think people
Yeah,
should know about it, you're more than welcome. And
well,
that's
the hard part for me is at times, and I joke to people, is like I know just enough to be fun and cool, and then I know enough to like I can't tell you stuff. So
yeah,
that's
but that's a good thing too, though. Is like you're in that void of,
I'm in
yes,
the
I'm
middle.
in the same group, but then it's like I do know some stuff that I would love to tell you, but I can't. But you could tell with how you're talking about the product and the figures and the characters that the passion is there. Like you get excited and you're like,
Yeah.
there's so many times you see somebody, you're talking to them about a figure, and they'll just be like, oh, it's sort of this, I got
Yeah.
this figure, and it's like you got to have that excitement. Like, why are you collecting them if they don't bring that type of excitement out of you? That's why I like Mythic Legions and I love Plunderlings. It's just like
Oh
that
yeah.
stuff just brings it out of you. When
Yeah.
you're opening up that figure and you're just like blown away with just how cool they are and how fun they are to pose around.
Yeah. And stuff like that with like the even the plunderlings. Like at one point, I was in talks with Ricky about helping him with his social media and doing stuff with him. And he is just like, no, I think I could. I think I'm going to do this and do that. And I go, okay, man. I said, if you need any help or if I could, help promote your stuff or build up a Facebook page for you, let me know. Like, I think, and he's got stuff too that I wish I had gotten in on the first initial wave. And I'm like trying not to chase down and spend like $200 on like a gold plunderling or something like that. Or,
Yeah, those Kickstarters. I was thankful to get a hold of one of the, like, the blue drenched, but like the idols and the
yeah,
other ones, like some of that stuff is just like it's beyond my grasp.
yeah.
Um,
And I know the guy that helped design them. I know Ricky. I still text him every once in a while. Like, dude, like, and like I saw him at Legion's Con. He's just like, oh, just call me and such and such. I'll send you stuff. I'll send you these and this. And I'm like, don't mess with my emotions, Ricky. Oh my god. And then I think he just moved up to like Florida. So like his
and
shipping.
I still got two of his prototypes that I need to send back.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he hasn't responded. I'm like, man, I was like, I need to send these back to you, but I wrapped them up even better. Like,
Uh,
I'm all paranoid about them, but he
if
sent
you
me
if
the
you want,
Plunder Long and Strong.
send them to me. I'll make sure he gets them eventually. And those other ones that he's got coming out, man, those are exciting too. Like I get excited on this stuff. I love all this and the figures that he's making. And then the Mythic Legions and the stuff that I collect. I get excited on it. I love this stuff. I'll talk.
You got my first Plunderling at Legion's Con trying to behave. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
they're just
Don't.
as fun. Like, that's the great thing about it. You can have like your horde of Plunderlings fighting off some skeletons and stuff like that, or an ogre or a troll, and you know
I had like a couple silly photos I did a while back when I started getting the Plunderlings, and I had them like it was like that like I don't know if you're old enough or no, but you remember like Godzilla versus Bambi? Did you ever see
Godzilla.
that?
I've never seen that.
Uh,
Godzilla versus
I'm
Bambi.
old. Yeah, look up one day or look later up on YouTube. Look up Godzilla versus Bambi, and it's basically Bambi sitting there eating grass. This really crappy animation, eating grass, and then all of a sudden Godzilla just like stomps on Bambi, and that's the end of the animation. It is like old school, classic, terrible animation, but it is.
Oh, it's very that's not terrible. That gives me off like Monty Python vibes.
Yeah, yeah. You'll
Yeah.
look it up later. But so I did a photo similar to that with like the plunderling, and it was that like lurking over him was the troll, and he's just like looking at him like this, like like somebody that's like, like a pro wrestler looking over like a kid, like, what the hell. And I just love that. I love those simplicity of those photos and making funny images like that, where you have the troll, and I get this giant Mythic Legions troll that I love playing with, and he's just leering over. And because the plunderlings are cool because they got the extra heads and the expressions, that he's sitting there looking at them, and then he's looking back and he's looking at them, and then there's like one where he's smiling. He's like smiling at him, and he waves, and the troll's like still looking at him. And I love that stuff, man.
That's what collecting and getting into action figures about. Just like having fun like that. Like, I feel like so many people lose their, they lose track of like really why we collect, why we even get into these in the first place, because everybody's looking at value or something. We can't take this to the grave with us,
No.
Like it's like, yeah, I may have some stuff that's on card. That's because I toted them around for years, whatever. But all my new stuff, I'm opening it up. Like I want to get my hands on it. I want to bend it around. I want to try to do some photos with it and stuff like that. Like,
and the stuff even that you have on card, like I've got stuff on card and packages. I look at it as like, for me, it's like that memory of getting it. Like I've got, a few of them that like I went to like, Toy-Con in New Jersey, and I was like, oh my God, I finally got this one figure. Now I've got like 3 of them.
Well, one to rock and one to stock.
But it was one of those things, like the first time you get it, I was just so excited. It was all like shiny new plastic, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't open this. This is so cool. Like, and then, then I get another one that I can open and play with and make silly, scenes with it. But it's always that fun memory. And I try to, remind people all the time, just have fun doing this. Like, let's just be a big kid. Definitely need to be fun. Yeah. Exactly what Colin was saying. Yep. He's got a great collection. He's man, there's somebody you should have on the show. He's got a great collection. He's a Motu guy.
I mean, I'm gonna probably be doing like a little side segment called like Collector Spotlight. So yeah, I mean, if somebody's, they got like a clear enough, like whatever you're using your phone or whatever you're using, like that's a clear picture. So if somebody's willing to do that and show off their collection, I'm thinking about doing that, because I feel like there's a lot of collectors out there that just have some really amazing collections that people need to see, You don't need to put your address out there because we don't need anybody getting robbed or anything, but some of these collections need to.
But and that's the thing, is like some of the other guys that I've been trying to, because I wanted to do the YouTube thing and all this kind of stuff, but I wanted to do like interact and talk with people, because like I ramble and I talk a lot. I know that, but I get excited.
It's good.
But I'm excited on seeing and interacting with somebody of like their collection and what they're doing and what they're making. And when more people started wanting to do like the YouTube shows or coming out of their shell and on Facebook, and they're like, man, well, I'd love to do like a live video of like a reveal, or I want to do like a live conversation with you like this on Facebook. And I go, yeah, anything, man. Like, let's have fun doing it. And we've slowly turned the Cabal into also like its own channel, to where we get almost every night now somebody comes on live regularly and has interaction or conversations or a reveal, their art, their sculpting, what they're doing in the Cabal, where it's now, it's like Monday nights you're gonna watch, Legion's Lounge with Trevor and all those guys, and they're talking about new stuff and photography, and it's like, man, like they get like 50 to 100 people on their show. We'll watch them for 2 hours, and it has such a great feeling to sit there like you're involved and hanging out with these guys. And then Wednesdays Jeremy will be on, and and then there's like Brian Almeida.
A lot of stuff you can sit back and listen to. You don't even have to watch it technically. You could have it going as you're working or cooking or anything like that. Like, it's
the only part that's like I'll watch them when I'm like cooking or doing whatever. The only part that sucks is like when you watch somebody like like Brian Almeida when he's sculpting stuff, or you watch like just the other day who was it that brought on the Legion Layer guys, Mike and Brad brought on Chris from Crashbox Customs, and they're showing their diorama stuff, and I'm over here like I'm over here cooking, and then I'm like,
Right?
and then,
Yeah. When they start showing stuff, and Crashbox Customs does some crazy work with their
yeah,
dios.
yeah. Chris is, man, he's one of those guys. You know, he's got a ton of talent. Him and his wife do some cool stuff. His wife like paints most of that stuff too.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like a tag team. They're there. They got like one will be machine. He's got this huge like lathe in his house that he's like machining those things out, and then adding the texture. And then she's over in another area just painting it and doing that in detail.
It's a lot of
There,
work.
you want to talk to somebody real interesting. Chris is. Everybody in the group has.
Man, send them down my way, man. I will put them on, and we could talk. And anybody you feel like they should be, out there showing more of their stuff, just let me know.
Yeah, and it's cool because there's a lot of those people that have those talents and things that you would never meet. And I'm lucky enough to where I get to meet a lot of these people, and they want to advertise or talk about it or share their stuff. And people that have sent me sculpts, head sculpts. I mean, that's, guys like Chris have shown me designs and things that they're making, and I'm like, dude, like I wouldn't even know where to start with that. And they're like, well, actually, I CAD scan it all in, and then it's all, and they go like, he'll test this camera, and he's like, oh, this big lathe right here carves it all out. I'm like, dude, you got a big old CNC machine in your house?
Right.
Like I got a big lawnmower in my yard, and like I didn't think he had a CNC machine, but yeah. And then there's his wife off to the side, like painting.
Yeah, that's sort of what I do with like state of the art too. Is like I have some toy creators, like creators in general. I just want to bring over people that I feel like need some more, that people should be aware of. Like I wanted you to get on there because I mean, the Cabal is probably one of my favorite groups that I've been in. Because of like my first time going in there, it was just like I joined. It was open arms, and I forgot who was going live. Somebody was going live, and they were doing a giveaway. Like literally, same day I joined in, I won a giveaway. So I got one of the comics that was signed by 3 of the Horsemen. I don't know which one's missing. And then you also sent me like the little the mask, the Cabal mask that you're doing, like for COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think a pin too. It was like a little welcome kit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that is so nice. And it was just honestly like that's how like, it's just been that type of feeling throughout the whole time being in the Cabal group. Everybody is just nice and like-minded,
Yeah. It's weird at times because like I'm not part of any other groups anymore, and I admin a couple of my own groups and do enough to keep me busy to where I'm happy with what I do. And I only collect like Mythic Legions because I enjoy them so much. But when you get the community and everybody's having fun and going back to like in the beginning, like we were talking about, like they're not like cussing and swearing at each other. They're not like really frustrated and they're going, oh man, I don't like your such and such. Like, you can't do that. It's more like everyone's pretty supportive. And if for some reason they don't like it, they just pass on, or they won't like the photo.
Thank you. Agree to disagree. Like,
yeah,
plain and simple. It's okay to do that. Agree to disagree. Like,
yeah. And even like the constructive like criticism that comes out, there's a lot of the interaction when I look at the posts and the people interacting with each other. They're having like real discussions, and it's on Facebook, and they're just talking about like, oh, I didn't like that show because of this and this and that. And then the person that put on the show is like, oh man, thanks for letting me know. I'll try something different next time. And, or it's all that interaction to where like people are talking to each other. Like I said, the way you want to be talked to and respectfully. And it's not some online keyboard warrior troll, classic scenario where like we're just yelling at each other because, we can. Like you're in Maryland and I'm in California. Like, ugh.
Right. Opposite side of the country.
And it's not about that. It's more of that interaction where you're just like, man, this is cool. And then I always love I've got like a few boxes I got to mail out. It's that type of scenario where people were looking for a figure or they're looking for that one part and they're just like, man, I really need this to complete my figure. Or if somebody has an extra one, like, you know where I can get it? And I'm like, yeah, I got one laying around. I don't use it. Here, you can have it. Or if you pay for shipping, or that kind of thing. And there's so much of that too, where it a lot of times people are like blown away, and then when they get it and they're like holding it and they're like, I can't believe this guy just like mailed it to me, or I got this for like $5 or for like a reasonable price, and they're like, that's like, and then they'll make a post about it and go like, I'm blown away that Walter sent this to me and he didn't ask for anything in return. And I go, a lot of times like I got parts and things or whatever that I just don't use, and I have my figures set up the way I'm due, or if I can help out, I will.
Yeah, see, and that's awesome. That mentality, I feel like in the collecting community is just it's starting to fade away. So when you start building something that's holding on to that and that you can keep building onto, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
To be able to be, helping out one another. There's a lot of times where, like I'll be looking out for stuff for people. I'll be like, hey, what's everybody looking for? People will post up a bunch of stuff that they're looking for.
Yeah.
In a little chat that I have, and then they'll say this is what I look for. So I'll go to like stores. I'll be like, oh, hey, this is what you need. You still need it? Gotcha. And sometimes, sometimes retail and shipping. Sometimes it's just like, hey, I got you, and then we just sort of sometimes just return the favor. We just look out for one another. And that's really, I think, with the collecting community as a whole, they need to grasp that again. We're all like-minded people enjoying toys,
Yeah. And that's the circle to come all the way back around when I figured out the Cabal meaning, and like it sounded cool, was all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know what the word means. Like I barely got a high school education, man. Like I could be saying like Mythic Legion's Cabal and it goes back to the white supremacist group. Oh my god. But it was one of those things, like when I looked it up, not only did it sound cool, it was one of those things that it meant like people of like-mindedness, or people involved in the same, like everybody was on the same idea and platform. And I was like, dude, that's kind of cool. Like that's like cult-like, man. Like that's metal. Like we're all doing the same thing, trying to have fun and collect Mythic Legions and this, and then it evolved into this, what it is now, and almost 4,100, 4,200 people to. Yeah.
I've had a few people help me out of the blue, super awesome community, and that's it. That community, and that's our reason that I wanted you on. It's like, we need to spread the word of this community and let people know, like, you're into Mythic Legions. This is the group to get into. This is a group that's not going to judge you if you only get one. You want to get 100 Mythic Legions, that's fine. But it's a group that can help you get into the right way, find like-minded people, and you never know what can happen from that.
Yeah. And it's fun too, because I'm not real strict. I have a ton of rules. They're just, undisclosed, like low key rules where you're just like, hey, like, just don't like swear at each other, and be respectful. And if you want to, if you're not happy with somebody's photo or post or whatever, just who cares? Like it's, don't spend your day arguing with somebody that's on the other side of the planet that you'll never meet in person over a toy.
Exactly.
It's not worth it. And then if, at times I tell people, if you can help out and, and point somebody in the right direction or help them out, like, do that if you can, because, that one little gesture of kindness could come back to you when you're down in your lowest point or you need something. Like, there's been several times where you're just like, man, I'm looking for that part that I just don't know, or does anybody have one of these? I just can't find. And sure enough, somebody will say like, hey, I got one, or yeah, you can have mine because I'm not using it, And I just love that kind of thing. So
Yeah, I believe that whole karma thing too.
yeah,
You dish out what, and then you shall receive.
yeah, and it's great too because at the point that I'm at now, where the group is slowly grown, and people thought it wouldn't last and it wouldn't be like that, and then being able to travel across the country and visit and meet people in person now, and go to different parts of the country and do the shows and meet people for the first time, that's always cool too. That blows my mind. That's my new favorite thing in life, is like meeting people and they're like, hey, like, I'm so and so online, and you're just like, holy crap, like that's awesome. They're like, no, but you gave me this figure, or I'm in the Cabal, and I'm like, that's the only reason I'm on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my god, like you're gonna make me tear up, and like,
But that's good that you're impacting people's lives, man.
yeah,
That's a
well,
good thing.
yeah, I'll tell you real quick too. Like the first time, just recently, I was like recognized on a plane, and I got on the plane flying from California to Philadelphia, and people recognized me, and I was like, wow, like, and here I am, like, I got my Cabal shirt on and my backpack, and I got my troll under my arm, and I'm having fun. I'm like, yeah, and 900 million people in the airport are looking at me like, okay, that guy is crazy. Like, who the hell is this? And I'm walking on the plane, and a lady and a group of the women and her friends were going to RetroCon, and she recognized me and was like, hey, I know who you are. And I kind of like stopped, like, okay. Like, she's like, you're that guy with Mythic Legions. Are you going to Philadelphia? And I'm like, I am. And I'm like randomly, because I got stuff in my pockets, I held out and I handed her a sticker, and I'm like, yeah, I'm Walter. And I'm supposed to be like sitting on the plane, and I'm holding up the plane.
But
And
no, that's awesome, man.
yeah. And dude, it was like, it's that, that crazy story, like I tell you, is just like, it's that moment where like just, I mean, that was like recently, but it was like, I never thought in my life that I'd be doing something like this and just having fun and going to shows, and I get to hang out with people that I like, and the toy makers. And now, like, I go to an event and people are going to see me at the event, and then I go to an event, and then people are asking me for my autograph on an action figure. And I'm like, dude, like, I go home, like, I'm gonna go mow a lawn tomorrow, It's like, and they're like, no, you're Walter. Like, we know who you are. We're in the Cabal, and I'm like, we got your shirt. And I'm like, dude, like, anytime I see that and I hear that kind of stuff, and seeing people wear like the shirts that I make to give to people, dude, that makes like, it makes me fucking just excited. I'll start swearing and going excited about it.
Just don't lose that fire, man. Don't let that flame ever go out. Keep it going.
No,
And
man.
RG wants to know if you're going to ZoloCon next year.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there. I gotta book my flight still. I'm waiting to do that, but yeah, I gotta book my flight and be at the Four Horseman booth up in front and setting up and do my thing. But yeah, I'll be there. I'll
And
be at ZoloCon. We'll be at Toylanta. We'll be at New Jersey. Got a couple shows possibly on the West Coast.
Well, get that list going. Maybe I can design up a little flyer for you or something that you'd be like, this is where the Cabals gonna be at, and you can hand it out to people or post it up on so everybody can know where you're gonna be at.
Yeah, we're it's all part of the Four Horseman site. If you go to Four Horseman,
Oh, okay.
So you can see where.
Fine. Don't take me up on having a cool flyer made.
Yeah, well, I gotta admit, like, Jeremy made a cool flyer online because he's got all the schedules and the dates and everything. I'm just like, I'm the guy that talks about it a lot in person and everything, and then puts it on social media. Yeah, they have the list, everything. So I'll be out like most of those shows this year, and then a few extras that we're trying to do in other places.
RG will be at 3 of the shows.
Cool.
Which is pretty awesome.
And I always tell people, come up and say hi. Like I'll recognize like YouTube names or Instagram names, or even like some people have like different names on Facebook because they don't want like work or something. But I love meeting people. I'm always like excited to meet people, and when they come up, they're like, "Hey, I'm, such and such from Instagram," and I'm just like, "Dude, that's awesome. Nice to meet you." And I'm like, "Let me get a photo with you." Like, I'm the crazy guy like trying to like get excited, and I get pictures with them, and they're just like,
and they're getting pictures with you.
yeah. But
no,
that's why everybody like the Walter the Mad comes in, where they're just like, "Dude, that's crazy. Like, you came all the way out from California." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, this is awesome." So
that is awesome.
yeah.
And speaking of awesome, we've been doing it for almost 2.5 hours. I'm going to let you enjoy relaxing. And I'm sure, and again, you're definitely more than welcome to come back on. We can talk whatever. You got to get some more to drink. I got to get probably some food because it's going on almost 10 o'clock at night here. So
I forget the time.
Yeah. Opposite sides. You get to enjoy the nice weather. I'm over here in the cold.
Yeah.
But
hey, it was like 60 degrees today. I mean,
oh man, that's cold.
I almost had a sweater on,
Oh geez. But it's definitely been a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks,
And again, you're welcome anytime you want to talk about something, you need to get the word out. You might have another platform. My platform is there for you to use.
Yeah.
Anytime you'd like. And I thank everybody that stuck with us for this whole time. And if you guys want to see more of Walter, comment down below, hit the likes, make sure you're blasting me and saying, "Hey, bring them on," and let's get the Cabal going. And anybody that's watching, all the links are going to be down below. Make sure you go and join the Cabal. There's some questions you're going to have to answer, which you got to do that for some of those good groups, and answer those questions and come on in and start mingling with fellow Cabal members and talk about Mythic Legions. Yeah. But as I tell everybody on all my videos and all my streams, I want you guys to have the best luck hunting, keep on collecting, and have a beautiful day.